Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And me.
And also me.
There you go. Look at that. We've got a packed house today. The Wolf Pack is back. Or something. In the house, as always, is Larson. And we got our long-lost podcasting father, Dan.
Hello.
Every time, Dan, they say, is Dan going to be on? Is Dan? Your people, Dan. Your people are kind of the bane of my existence. Speaking of Bane, we've got TotalBiscuit in the house.
Hey, what a professional segue. Loving that one. Yeah, that's fantastic.
I thought about that right as I was saying Bane. This is his name. Oh, look at me. I'm clever. Well, I think we're all kind of in a decent mood today because the Royal Rumble, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not going to speak for anybody else here, but in my eyes,
it was fun.
Larson, I said what? I'm not speaking for you right now. I'm speaking for myself.
No, I was thinking
totally
myself.
paid off. I loved it. Go ahead.
What?
Go ahead and say what you were going to say.
Royal Rumble was fun.
That's it. End of podcast.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm going to go brush my teeth or something. See you later.
Everybody start giving me their thoughts at the same time, please.
Absolutely.
It was all right, I suppose. Nothing. It was fun. I enjoyed it. It was a great Kevin Owens night. It was a great. Really
it was a great Kevin Owens night.
It was an amazing night for Kevin Owens. Let's just go through the because just my general thought of the show. I thought it was a lot of really good matches and a really decent Rumble. I have a couple of gripes about it.
Yes,
but they're all ridiculous and related directly to me. So I'm not going to put that on anybody. But otherwise, I thought it was a really, really, really fun pay-per-view. A really, really strong way to kick off the year.
Yes.
Yeah, I went in expecting disappointment because that's a safe bet with WWE for the most part, especially considering that I think last year, I'd say the majority of pay-per-views were underwhelming. So having watched the last few Rumbles from the last few years and seeing just the hot mess that they were, I was not expecting all that much going in. But actually, the show was tight. Every match on the card was good. Some of them were exceptionally good. And the Rumble was awesome for the most part.
Yeah. I thought, it's funny because for the past 2 years, I forget like past 2 years. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm surprised I remember the last 2 years, but I think it's because the finishes for the last 2 years have been so abysmal.
Bad.
They've been so bad that sort of clouds the fact that I do recall. I mean, honestly, every year with the Rumble, it's always a kick because there's the surprise entrance.
Yeah.
There's Kofi Kingston's antics. There's always things that you can kind of look forward to, and there was plenty of them this year. But every year you have that. But the last 2 years, you're always left. You're always left, of course, with your last, whatever the last image was. And the last 2 years was just indicative of how tone deaf the WWE often can be.
Yes.
And so going into this, we've talked extensively here on the show, now that we're doing it weekly, that, Larson made the prediction quite a while ago that Triple H is going to win out. And I was like, no, there's no way he's going to do that because it is him doing it.
Yeah. But I mean, my point when I initially said it was I'm guessing WWE is still worried that the crowd will boo Reigns if he were to beat Lesnar in the main event at WrestleMania. And I think last night the crowd's reaction kind of bolstered, that statement because the crowd was not into Roman Reigns at all.
Not at all. And
it was pretty stunning. I mean, to me anyway. I know there are certain crowds, but the fact that he won the belt in Philly, I think it was the same place that booed him out of the house last year at the Rumble, and he got a pop, made it kind of surprising to me that it was a very, very, as you said earlier, TB, a very smarky crowd.
Very smarky crowd in all the right ways. Those are my people right there. Those are the kind of people that bloviate about NXT for far, far too long. So those are the sort of people that I like to hang around with. And you're absolutely right. And I think the pop in Philly in particular was set up in such a way it's like, well, we really don't like Sheamus. So we're kind of okay with this. Oh, also we saw a World Heavyweight Championship title change on Raw. We haven't seen that in ages. We saw Vince McMahon out there. Like they basically, this was like in case of fire, break glass. They broke out everything they could to try and get him over for that crowd, and it worked there. And it's been working for some of the markier crowds, for some of the Raws and things like that. But this was a smarky crowd. This is the Rumble, and people were like, no, we're still not okay with this.
Because it needed, we need, this is the thing, we need plot twists. And if Roman would have won out the entire way, there would have been no twist.
Yeah.
It would have just been him.
He'd have got
as
booed out of the
further
building.
establishing-
He would have been booed
Yeah.
out of the building, no
Oh,
doubt
yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's start from the beginning, though, and I'm not talking about the pre-show because there was a weird fatal four-way
That
tag match.
that doesn't count.
A bunch of sometimes I think it was the last pay-per-view or 2 pay-per-views ago. They had like a really good Sasha Banks versus I forget
It was
who
against
that-
Becky Lynch.
Sasha
wasn't it?
versus Becky
It was-
was on the pre-show, yeah.
Okay, it was
Cold
Becky.
Steve
Yeah, I
Austin.
was just surprised it was Becky because it was on the undercard.
Yeah.
Or the pre-show rather. And I was like, oh, this is kind of a cool. Like, what if they start doing that with the pre-show? I mean, which would suck for the pre-show, or it would suck for them and for us, marks. But like, if they started putting on matches that were sort of internet friendly on the pre-show, that'd be kind of cool. That'd get you a little bit hyped up.
Yeah,
But this
yeah.
time they did the exact opposite of that. I was actually really, really surprised I'm not going to talk about this at length at all, but I'm surprised the Dudley Boys didn't win that. That was
Yeah,
really weird.
I thought they were a shoo-in to win that match for sure.
It's weird what they're
And
doing
I-
with them, i.e. nothing at all.
Yeah, they came in with their nostalgia value for a quick feud with the New Day apparently, and then now they're doing that, which is a shame because the tag division is relatively deep these days. I feel like they could be doing a lot more with them.
Oh yeah.
I don't necessarily want them to do more with them because I'm not a huge Dudley Boys guy. I'm sorry when they're still
Yeah.
doing.
They're still
I get
doing
the
What's
idea-
Up. I mean, it's
Yeah.
they've become
I
a
can't
novelty act.
stand that. I don't like Dan. What's that?
I said, get the tables. That's what they
Yeah.
Can we please
I mean-
stop counting that in? We get it by now. We don't need the count in. You
did.
can.
They should start increasing the count. Start counting from like 30. 30, 29. Like, seriously, just half a match. Just 148, 140. The crowd would do it, I guarantee it.
It's like we're getting old now. It's gonna take us a while.
yeah. But it's sad to me. Like, God, I said I wasn't gonna go on about this, but like seeing the Dudley, you brought up the Dudley Boys, John. So, I understand the value of a nostalgia act, but how cool could a nostalgia act be if you actually updated them?
Yeah.
Like bring Bubba Ray in the way he kind of was with TNA, a fucking badass. And I'm not even a fan of TNA. I don't like TNA and just as a general rule, but he was fucking cool in TNA. Like he was a solo guy, he was a badass, he was like a leader of a faction. It was kind of cool. And then just to see them revert to those stale old camos and doing the same old shtick, it's like, man, you guys can make some money off these guys if you just like made them today,
Yeah.
So,
It's also
that's
weird,
just
like
bad.
just bringing them back in an era where hardcore matches are just not really a thing. So half the appeal
Yeah.
of the Dudley Boys in that era where they had those 3 huge tag teams was like they were the hardcore guys, they were the brawlers, as opposed to the Hardys who were the high flyers and all that kind of thing. And the kind of dynamic worked and played off each other. Now, their definition of a hardcore match is, we're going to set the table on fire. Ha, no, we're not.
Yeah.
And then everyone hates you.
Yeah. Even the way they interact with the current crop of tag teams, they're the over guys, and I mean the New Day is a perfect example of this, are the ones who can walk the balance between being serious and being comical. Granted, New Day is a comedy act, but they have that streak of they have that sort of edgy streak where they can be violent, they can cheat, they can do all those sort of things. And so when you have the Dudley Boys and they're super serious about things, that doesn't stack up well against a group that's sort of made kind of to get over first with the smart marks and then with the marks. So I don't know. I just think they're out of place, and it's sad because I don't think they have to be. I think they can be current because I think they've shown that they can be.
Yeah.
I think they've got to use them because, interestingly enough, you made the remark that you think the tag division's a bit deep right now. I actually believe the opposite. I think right now the tag division is in serious trouble. If you think about it, you had the Reapers who disappeared immediately, essentially, when they wanted to reform the Wyatt family. So your big monster heel tag team is now gone. Obviously, Kid and Cesaro are both out. Sin Cara is out, so they're pushing Kalisto solo. Where the hell is Darren Young? The primetime players just vanished. Essentially, the tag team division is now the New Day, the Usos, who they keep trying to push down our throats, please go away, and the Dudleys, and then they just throw together random tag team acts. And compared to the tag team division in NXT, which is unbelievably hot right now,
It is, yeah.
like they've got nothing going on the main roster.
No, you're right. That's kind of a recent development. You're right because for a hot second there, it was pretty deep.
Yeah, you're right. Like around that time,
and
and then
happened in the last
then they all
months,
died. So
yeah, and exactly. I don't know. Me and Larson, we've just been waiting for Enzo and Cass to hit the main.
Yep.
roster.
Oh, that'll be fun.
That'll be so much fucking fun.
Yeah.
My other only note about that opening pre-show match is that Connor is not fit.
No. What happened?
And I know he hasn't been, but he seems extra unfit these days.
He had the pants that were high enough to cover the tummy.
Yeah.
It's like he wore Spanx.
Ascension
Like
just
when
makes
I'm
me
calling
sad.
out somebody, when I'm calling out somebody on not being fit, I'm fully aware that I'm not fit at all. But I'm like, man, I'm like literally pacing that guy right now.
The finish to
anyways,
that
let's
match
get on
was
to
a
the-
botch in hell, by the way. That's going on Botchamania,
Yeah.
no doubt about that.
Yeah, I know. I just and what's really sad about that? Damien Sandow was in that fucking match, and everybody was cheering for him, including myself.
Yes.
I love Damien Sandow. Let's see here. First match on the card: Dean Ambrose, Kevin Owens. I thought early contender match of the year easily.
Yeah.
The spots were amazing in this match.
Yes, storytelling was great.
Yeah, they've led up to this pretty well. I was a bit afraid that when their definition of I'm crazy is I throw soda and popcorn on your face and that's the feud, I was thinking this is going to suck. But over the last few weeks, they've built it up really well. There was an awesome finish on SmackDown where they're basically both dead in a pile of Netgear routers. And I was like, yes, this is exactly what I hoped out of this. And this match didn't disappoint in any way. If you just wanted to see people get murdered, it was awesome.
Yeah. It is. It's like it was definitely sort of the product, the grandson of the Attitude Era, of the hardcore match, because they, instead of being ridiculously shock value sort of hardcore, they went for sort of old school hardcore in terms of like, they just did a lot of really cool power moves. They put some people through tables. They sweat a lot. I know there are a bunch of cool moves. My favorite spot, and it makes me wonder if Dean and Kevin were backstage planning this out, is when Kevin Owens was fucking with Michael Cole.
That was so fucking
That was awesome.
Oh, that was so good.
And I know Dan, and I know John, I know you guys hate. And I'm not a big fan, but I know you guys hate that guy.
I do. Well, I despise the entire commentary team, and I'm also now hugely into the new guy on SmackDown. I think he is the perfect example of what a commentary, needs to be. That, and I love Graves from NXT.
He's fantastic.
Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah, but the main commentary team is just horrible. Why does Saxton exist? Cole is a used car salesman, and JBL doesn't seem to know where he is half the time.
I can't say. I mean, some of these spots, like that little package pile driver kind of movie does.
That was
he did it from
awesome.
Through the table.
Oh my, that was insane.
Love
that was
that.
absolutely insane.
Yeah, a lot of tables broken. Obvious, I set these tables up and suddenly they're no longer on camera. These will be used later, sort of thing. But they did it in just the right way too. I think the best when they do that, when they pace the match out, it's when you see something coming, but they make you forget about it, and then it happens suddenly, and everybody's that was a thing.
Yeah, I thought the same thing when they set up Owen set up those chairs there, and it was like, oh god, that's fucking crazy if he's going to do the moonsault through that and distract you from the two tables that are just right opposite of him in the corner, outside the corner.
Although I will admit to disappointment to not seeing him do that, although it probably would have killed his opponent, so I understand.
He would have murdered himself.
Yeah.
But then he would have been down for 10.
What's that, Dan?
I said then he would have been down for 10, so he could have won. Are you allowed? Is that legal to murder someone in the ring, like in kayfabe? What's the rules for like just flat out murdering a guy?
Well, didn't someone get hung at one point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Big Boss Man.
That was okay.
Hell in a cell.
So
I don't believe there is a suspension there involved, so you can hang someone, apparently.
What does no DQ really mean? Is the question we're getting into here. Like, how far does no DQ... Like, if you just, like, shot a guy, it's like, well, there's no DQ, oh, then JBL will make a joke.
I mean, I think you'd be fine with the company, but, like, you probably have legal ramifications. Unless they sign a liability waiver, like, this guy can't be prosecuted for murder. Like, I'm not going to... I don't know how that works.
I don't know if those exist, Steve.
I mean, as long as he doesn't make racist tweets, the company will probably be fine with it,
There's no liability form you can sign to let somebody murder you?
I don't think that exists.
I don't think that's a thing, no.
Oh, well, the rules we got to change in this damn country.
Political correctness gone mad, I say. Mad.
It has, I know. Damn you, Trump. Yeah, so, yeah, I'm not going to get into that. I know Dan loves talking about Trump.
Let's not do that thing.
I love
not get
cartoon
into
characters. We're all aware of this.
We'll be here for 3 hours. And I'll oh God. Okay, anyways, getting back, people we want to put through tables. Yeah, no, I honestly, this was, and I'm totally fine, especially given the events. Both these guys then hop back into the Rumble. We're totally selling their match, which is awesome, and totally, you should do this, and they're professionals, and they did it.
That's what made me love
Does
Kevin
anyone...
Owens when he limped in. He just limps in.
Yeah, he just limps in.
But he limped in looking pissed off as all hell, and I was like, does anyone look more angry than that man at any point? It's great. I love it.
Because the belt means so much to him, and that's what he sells, and he sells it so perfectly. And that makes the belt, that makes it a big deal.
Yes. Yeah, let's be honest. When it was on Ryback, nobody cared. I'm entirely fine with Ambrose having it.
It just looked like a piece of his toy-esque packaging.
It's what came with his action.
Yeah, it's an accessory. It's all it is. You know, you get that, and you get a copy of The Secret with that, and that's it. It's like, Ryback, you are the most boring man.
Yeah. And it's funny because, like, now that the roster, like, you know, you get these NXT call-ups, you get guys like AJ Styles coming in, you see Ryback's role. I mean, he's gone from it was so. I don't know if you, Dan and John, did you guys watch the Dinner for Three with the Intercontinental Champion one with Dolph, Daniel, and Ryback?
I did see bits of that, and Dolph was quite clearly trolling everybody the entire time, which I did love. It's like, yes, that Elimination Chamber match, yeah, that will go down in history. It's like, yes, it will, but not for those reasons.
Completely straight face. But Ryback, I felt kind of bad for Ryback because I'm like, you know, you got two guys who are well known as being two of the best in-ring performers of their generation, and then there's Ryback, and he seems to know that.
Yeah,
and it's just like, you know, I know he's a person, but man, his packaging is terrible.
It's really bad.
It's so bad.
Just the orange. It's like he looks like a walking cereal box. It's
yeah.
I know he's making them for kids. I know they basically made him for kids. Big strong man for kids. You know, but
he looks. I've made this point before a million times on the show. He looks like he's made by a kid.
Yeah.
He looks like a crayon drawing of a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
Stupid.
5-year-old like that.
Stupid. Yeah, and like, you know, the beating of the chest thing is like, unless you are Sting, you don't get to do that. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I'm totally fine. Like, we talked about this a little bit. I was like, you know, where do they go from here? The great thing about the Rumble this year, too, that I don't remember them doing recently, is setting up storylines.
Yeah. So many, potentially. Yeah.
So many. Like, Neville comes around, and I'm like, man, I'd love to see Neville versus AJ Styles. Larson mentioned, you know, but it looks like they might go with Chris Jericho. And then
Owens and AJ had their moment where Owens tossed them out.
Owens and AJ had their moment.
Owens,
and then Owens
AJ,
and Sami
perfect.
Zayn.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a second. We'll talk about the Rumble in a second. So I'm totally fine with that being their blow-off match.
Yep, that's cool.
Totally fine with that because, I mean, you know, Larson mentioned that maybe they do Hell in a Cell at Mania or something like that. As much as I'd love to see that, we don't need that.
This was it.
This was definitely it, and it was great. And let's see both these guys kill because there's so much talent. There's so much great talent.
Yeah,
both these guys can do some great stuff at Mania with somebody else.
Yep.
Next up, we have our friends, the New Day, and against the Usos, who, if I'm not mistaken, were getting booed out of the building.
And rightfully bloody so. Slammy Tag Team of the Year. We weren't a tag team for 7 entire months of the year, but let's give it to us anyway, despite the fact that the Lucha Dragons and the New Day exist. I'm like, what? Yeah. In what universe is that okay?
The WWE universe.
Apparently, yes. I don't know how that happened, but
I don't know either. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I find them dull, and apparently so did the crowd.
I was telling this to Larson last week, and it's funny because you sort of bring up the point, John, that the tag division is a mess right now, and you're completely right. But it's interesting to me because, like, you know, as of a month ago, 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago, right, or what was it, 2 months ago when the Usos came back, right around then, you still had the Lucha Dragons. You still had, I think, Primetime. I think they had probably disappeared, but Dudleys were still kind of prominent. The Wyatt family, I don't think, were completely back together. And it made me think when the Usos left, you had some really weak teams. You had you had the New Day before they were over. They were still doing kind of the gospel-y-ish type thing. You had
Cesaro and Tyson Kidd.
Cesaro and Tyson Kidd were kind of thrown together because they didn't really know what to do with either of those guys.
But they made it work. They were good.
Yeah,
they made it work, but they were there for a hot second. They were there for they really didn't get a chance. I mean, they put on some great matches, but they didn't have a lot of longevity behind them. They didn't really have much of a mouthpiece. You had Los Matadores, who nobody has ever wanted to see.
No.
And so the Usos, just by virtue of the fact that there's not a lot going on, they had a lot more going on. And now they come in, and you got the New Day, who are just incredibly over, and the Usos. it surprised me because the Usos, for all I know, and I know Larson, you've seen some of the Total Divas. You say they've got they're pretty funny guys. They got a good sense of humor. They got personality, which I just feel like they're not letting them out. And maybe that'll make all the difference because they kind of look like cereal boxes, but I'm okay with their look and their wrestling is okay. If their personalities came through and they stopped doing just the straight up babyface thing.
When they came back out, when the one guy returned from injury, they were kind of seemed like they're going in that direction, letting them have more personality.
It might let them. It looked like they might have let them open up a little bit with the New Day because you have to go down that territory. It's kind of like we were talking about with Jericho in his interaction with the New Day. I'm like, we kind of need Jericho from WCW. Mm-hmm. We kind of need the sort of more snarky, not the serious I'm too cool for school Jericho to sort of match wits against the New Day because it's not going to work. You need more snark. You need more irony. You need more wit.
Yes,
and that's what the Usos need.
Yeah,
and it takes a couple of episodes of them doing that, and I'll be back on board.
What was weird is that I was getting this vibe over the past few months that they were slowly trying to turn them heel because some of the stuff they actually did to the New Day, particularly in front of crowds that actually liked the New Day, I thought, hang on a minute. Are they deliberately doing this? Because, these are heel moves. You're coming back, you're attacking the New Day after the match for really no reason other than the fact the New Day is kind of a bit obnoxious. That's not a good enough reason to beat the crap out of them,
Even in the match last night, there was a couple moments where I thought, are they turning the Usos heel?
Yeah, because he went after Xavier for no reason. Yep. I saw that happen, and a couple of other things. It does maybe seem like they are, possibly, but I don't know. I would have expected maybe something after the match to really cement that idea if they're truly going to do it. So I'm not sure if they know yet if they're going to do that or not.
Yeah. And it's funny because turning any of those tag teams, you see the Ascension, they're a classic heel team, and they're terrible. And I know that's largely, I don't know, they were super over in NXT.
Yep, they still
and
are.
So, exactly, they still are. I don't know if that's a translation thing to main or if that's just, in this day and age, the New Day is the kind of heel team that is going to work, and a traditional, hey, we're bad guys, isn't going to work.
I mean, that only works if you actually book them to be strong. The thing is, it worked in NXT because they literally murdered everybody for over a year.
Right, yeah.
But then they came onto the main roster, they gave them goofy shoulder pads, and then commentary buried them for weeks. And then they lost every match. I mean, that house show that I went to obviously house shows don't really matter, but it was just telling that they put them in a handicap match against the Big Show, where the Big Show just murdered them, and the Big Show was the face that night.
I don't get the logic of doing that.
It's like these people are jokes. They turned the Ascension into a joke, and that no one takes them seriously as a threat anymore.
Who did they piss off? That's what
I don't know.
Did they ask to leave a show early too?
Oh, possibly. I don't know. I don't know what the hell happened.
Regular practice in NXT apparently just taking off early, so they think they can do that.
Maybe that's how it works at NXT.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think they can. Yeah, it makes you wonder though if they start doing heel things. You got a heel. I don't know if a heel team's going to work against the New Day. You have to bring your personality to the game when you're dealing with the New Day because otherwise you're just not. They're just that team that are heels, but the people love them, and that's the best kind of personality. That's the best kind of wrestler you can have. So. Let's see here. Kalisto. I was really looking forward to this match. I thought it was,
me too.
Thought it was wonky the way they handled it, but it was obvious in terms of he won it on Raw, which was one of those. It was like one of those 1, 2, 3 kid Razor Ramon moments where it was like, oh my God, Del Rio just put this kid over. That's fantastic.
Yep.
And then he lost on SmackDown, and everybody shit themselves.
You know, and I'm okay with him losing it that way because they're obviously building this guy up to be the next Rey Mysterio. You know, that seems obvious. Yeah. And to be an underdog, you know, you've got to have those kind of moments where it's like, oh, was it a fluke? You know, is he going to be able to win the rubber match? And then, of course, he gets bullied by the League of Nations, so they're building a lot of sympathy for him that way. So it's actually nice to have an unexpected quick title change like that every now and again. I don't think every champion has to have a 300-day run, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is Sin Cara, is he just gone?
He's injured, apparently. So.
Oh, he is? Okay.
Yeah, he dislocated his shoulder.
Yeah, which is unsurprising considering how much he falls over on his face. But
all the Sin Caras just like
they're cursed. They're cursed.
Yeah,
it's like the Defense Against the Dark Arts in Harry Potter. Every year they just get a new Sin Cara in, and then they get wiped out by Voldemort or something.
It's like the Heisman Trophy in college football. Like you win that, and then you're usually crap next year. Although I guess Cam Newton's in the Super Bowl. Wait, Cam Newton was a Heisman winner, right? Larson?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, he's in the Super Bowl.
My eyes are just glazing over right now.
Yeah.
What is this talk of real sports?
I'm sorry.
What is this hand egg?
This was a fun match. Number one, both these guys. Okay, one of the things that I love about WrestleMania, I'm like a fashionista when it comes to wrestling gear, because at WrestleMania they always come out with cool, interesting, unique gear to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Like somebody either has like an extra jacket, or instead of cloth, it's leather. It's always some like weird alteration to make you know this is a special event. And both Alberto Del Rio and Kalisto came out with fancy new gear, and I loved it. I thought it was great.
Could someone
made it like a special match?
Explain to me why Del Rio is apparently about to engage in some sort of BDSM nonsense, because black rubber trunks, that I don't understand what he's going for with that.
He was like Ascension themed too. He was like black and red. Yeah, I don't know. He looks like a stud though. Like Del Rio was one of those weird guys.
Looks the best shape he ever has, man.
Yeah.
The best shape. And I remember back in the day, like when he was in WWE 3 years ago or 2 years ago, whatever it was, like it seemed like week to week. It's like, well, did he decide to do sit-ups backstage before he came out or not?
Did he do some push-ups before coming out for this match or no?
Or no, because like week to week, it'd be like, boy, he looks fat right now. Or he'd be like, he looks okay right now. But these days, he looks like a stud. And apparently, and this is so cheesy that I'm not even bringing this up, but apparently he's been wearing long tights for the house shows.
Yeah.
So I guess he's like testing out long tights to see, it's like a focus group thing, or maybe see how he likes them. I don't know. We've had discussions on the show about long tights versus trunks and what they mean in terms of your championship aspirations. So again, that's, we can do an hour on that if you want to, but I'm not going to. Fantastic match though.
Yeah.
I really like this match. Del Rio cracks me up because whenever he does that thing where he runs, like somebody's on the top turnbuckle or somebody's on the turnbuckle, and then he runs up to the second one and does that kick with his
running on
long-ass leg.
Seguri.
Yeah.
I always just think of that Botchamania where
Because against the Big Show,
there's a Big Show where he completely whipped and just fell, and so now I just have that in my head every time he does that, which I'm not sure he intends to have happen.
That match definitely had some slip-ups on the spots.
Oh,
I'll say they covered it fairly well. The commentary team certainly did not. I'm afraid that didn't get all of it is not a good cover for a botch ever. That's no one's buying that for a second. But I will give credit to them that they pretty much made it work in the ring. It looked like, it's just an unusual sequence into a cover. Okay, I'll buy that. Sure, why not?
Yeah.
I
thought this was an outstanding match. And we had Kalisto win. What was the that finish that he does? He did it. He executed it twice.
Salida del Sol.
Yeah. That second time, it looked just extra impressive, and I don't know why.
I think because he
did it from standing or something,
kind
right?
of, but then he did like a little twist when he was falling, that seemed.
I don't know. It just
like,
looked extra cool. That's a rad finisher.
It is.
That's a really cool finisher.
I mean, he did one where he combined what was essentially sliced bread with Salida del Sol as he kind of ran up the turnbuckle, which looked great to me. I think it is a move that relies a lot on your opponent kind of being strong enough, and I think the size and the size difference in particular helps that move look great. And it's obvious that Del Rio assisted him a lot with that move. I mean, physically you would have to. And it looks awesome when he's with a guy that can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kalisto, I've said this before. Kalisto is one of those guys who's going to appeal to everybody.
Yes.
Because, like, he appeals to me personally. His moveset is amazing.
Love
and
it.
It's so much fun to watch in the ring. He appeals to the kids because he looks like a cereal box. He appeals to the
every
huge...
wrestler looked like a cereal box. That's the thing that's just come up in this one episode. What happened to cereal boxes in the 2 months I've been away?
Kevin Owens doesn't look like a cereal box. He
No, he
looks
doesn't.
like
he's
me.
eaten a cereal box.
He does. Yeah, exactly. Kevin Owens looks like me, like during the summer. I just wear basketball shorts and like sleeveless shirts, much to Larson's dismay.
Yeah, I don't want to see your white arms for 4 months of the year.
My Connor from the Ascension-esque arms.
Yes.
Oh my. Poor Connor.
But yeah, no, but he appeals to everybody, and I love him. I think he's great. And then like in 10 years, when he gets fat and he's like Fat Rey Mysterio, I'm gonna be like, oh god, he sucks. I hate Kalisto because I love Rey Mysterio on WCW. He was great.
One thing I'll say about this feud that I like in particular is that it is a strictly Latin American feud that is not indulging in stereotypes in order to make it work. And
Oh yeah.
it's surprising the amount of, and it's working as well. Like, you're hearing quite a lot of guys in the crowd who are counting in Spanish, which I found
Yeah.
really interesting. It's like,
That's funny. Huh, I
okay.
didn't even notice that. That's great.
And it's good because, let's be frank, WWE is fairly terrible when it comes to dealing with anyone that isn't American. And
Oh yeah.
it's great to see that they're taking those Latin American stars seriously, and they realize there's a demographic there that they really should be appealing to. And in my eyes, they're doing a great job of it with this feud. I think it works great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love you're right. It's because you saw this a lot back in the day with like Eddie Guerrero. Like they would really push it. As great as Eddie was, and he made it entertaining every time. You're absolutely right. Back then, they would make it a very Latin American, Latino specific thing.
Yes.
With this, you're right. It's just Kalisto happens to be the guy, the guy who's up for the U.S. title, which is great, and it speaks volume. And the fact that he made reference to, the fact that, the immigrant story of America is all about, opportunity and stuff like that.
Which totally suits the U.S. title, and
exactly.
It ties in exactly to what Cena has been saying for a year with that title. So now the expectation with the U.S. title is that that's exactly what it is. Also, they're not the Mexicals. So that is an infinite improvement on previous things. So I'm okay with that.
The Mexicals. This is the bit you have to tell me about something really offensive.
God.
Oh yeah.
If you weren't having to pedal to keep your computer alive, I would link you to the Mexicals' infamous lawnmower entrance. Yes, they were Mexican, and they rode in on lawnmowers because everybody knows that's all that Mexicans do in America.
Wow.
Oh, God.
Wow.
So many wonderful
Unbelievably
things.
racist. Unbelievably racist.
Was that when Trump was involved in the WWE? Because...
Probably had something to do with it. Are you bringing it around to
Probably
Trump
had something to
again?
do with it.
Trump is not responsible for every ill in the world. Come on.
Just most
Just
of them.
most of them, yes.
Yeah,
This is the vast majority of it.
vast majority.
So yeah, this was great. I really love this match.
Yeah.
The Divas, the women. When are they going to call
The
this
women.
the women's belt?
Yep. The NXT have finally started calling it the women's division. Did you notice? I'm so happy. They've stopped using the word diva completely. It's gone.
Oh, really? Because it's been the women's title for a while.
Yeah, but they still refer to them as divas
Oh, did they?
and a divas match. Now it's the full-on women's division, women's match, women wrestler. Diva, there was not a single
that.
mention of diva, I think, in the last few weeks. It's gone. Love it.
That's
great.
that's good for the future because that's all Triple H and that's fantastic.
I also heard the rumor that Triple H and Stephanie are the ones that booked this particular feud.
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't know how correct that is, but it would make sense. And I mean, in my opinion,
Absolutely.
this feud is probably one of the best written ones on the roster right now.
Oh yeah, it was
Yeah,
great.
no,
It's been
yeah,
great for
I
the last few
totally
months.
agree. And how it culminated at the very, very end. We'll talk about that in a second. I'm looking at the sheet right now, and this was the second longest match. Well, I'm sorry, second longest proper match on the card. Obviously, the Rumble was an hour, but the only one longer was Dean Ambrose versus Kevin Owens. Otherwise, this was the longest one. It was up there. It was 10 seconds longer than Kalisto Del Rio, which shows you what they're putting into this, and it's fantastic. And I love it. I love Charlotte as a heel, as sort of the Ric Flair type. I think it's great.
It is.
I think Ric Flair looks like he's having a blast, and he's being used perfectly. I think my only qualm with this,
I know what's coming.
given his history that we all know about, and I don't. Are we just living in a PC world, and that's why I'm skittish about it? Maybe
No, I
in the
think it's
80s this
just-
would have been cool. It's creepy, right? It's creepy.
It's cringy as fuck. That was
It is.
That was the issue I had with it. Was
Just Ric Flair grabbing Becky Lynch and putting his nasty, creepy potato lips on her face and sliming.
I'm gonna go to bat for this, and I'm gonna say,
Okay, go do it.
That was exactly what he should have done as a old, creepy Ric Flair heel character. Because I mean, his whole thing, part of his whole little shtick was the kiss stealer. The kiss stealing, wheeling, dealing,
Yep.
and everyone turns around and is like, sexual assault, ha ha. It's like, yeah, but he's a heel. We're supposed to think that's awful, obviously it was. I imagine it was planned beforehand. I hope
you never
it
know.
was.
Yeah, never know what.
You're never quite certain, but I think it worked. It got genuine heel heat for someone who is that's the problem with bringing Ric Flair out in a clear heel role. People fucking love Ric Flair. And as a result, if you want genuine heel heat, which I think actually the Charlotte Ric Flair pairing actually has real heel heat now, you've got to do something like that. And I think, to me, that was like, oh God, that's awful, and it should have been.
Yeah, yeah. It wasn't. I agree. It was. It was a kiss. Just okay. This is the thing. My thing about Ric Flair is that basically, whenever he opens his mouth, I always and this is awful, and I wouldn't wish this upon anybody. But I always just envision the story that I heard about the infamous plane ride in like 2002 or whatever.
Oh yeah.
When Ric Flair had his pants down and he was doing the phallicopter. So when I see him on a plane with like stewardesses and attendants. When I see him pull up Becky Lynch and kiss her, you're absolutely right, John. That is classic Ric Flair. It's perfect heel. It's just a kiss, not a big deal. But that's what I think. I think when I see that with my eyes, in my heart, I see him looking at Becky Lynch doing a phallicopter.
Oh dear. Yes. Now I have that image in my mind. Thanks for that. I appreciate it, really.
That was my secret hope.
Christ, Jesus.
Can someone pass the mind bleach now?
Dan is literally blind now.
Yeah. I think if it was anything else, if it had been like an arse slap or anything like that, I probably would not have been okay with it. But I think that fits the character. It's a disgusting heel move that we're not supposed to be okay with, and we weren't,
And it's like it's a villain move that has been around through the ages in fiction.
It is classic.
Like the kiss steal. It is classic. Yeah, it's very classic. I love this match. I was talking to somebody on Twitter about this, and they were like, if I honestly thought going into this they were going to give Becky Lynch the title. Just the way they built it up, the way she came out. She looked like a champion coming out.
Yeah.
She looked like she was walking to the ring knowing she was going over tonight. And I thought that putting the belt on her and then having a return match at WrestleMania would have given Charlotte 2 months or 3 months or whatever to be the heel who's chasing the belt, who had her belt stolen from her. And I thought that could have made for a really, really interesting story. I'm totally fine with what we're getting, but I was going to be okay with that because I think Becky Lynch, I'd love to see the title on her. And I think it would have been given Charlotte a really, really fun story to run with that we haven't seen yet, which would have opened up a lot of possibilities for her and Flair.
One of the problems with the main roster seems to be that there can only be one Divas story. Oh, God, I just used the word Divas. I'm so sorry. There can only be one women's story going on at any given time.
You're gonna get some fucking stimulating Twitter mail for that one.
It's okay. I don't have Twitter anymore. I'll be all right. But it's... that seems like the real problem. When you compare it to NXT... which has multiple women's storylines going on at any given time. They just had a great battle royale, which people actually cared about and was well executed. And then you compare it to the main roster, and the only way they seem to be able to make women work on the main roster is if they focus on 2 of them only. Because let's be honest, the last few months of these stables has been a waste of everybody's time. You know, they've been spinning their wheels. This storyline has been well booked. I actually care about it. It got Becky Lynch over with the crowd in a big way, whereas I think other than the NXT smarks, most people were like, who? You know, they weren't.
Yeah.
They were into Charlotte because Flair. They were into Sasha because everyone else was into Sasha, and it seems like maybe they've kept Sasha off TV on purpose so they can build what is hopefully going to be some sort of 3-way feud. Because I think it's a little weird if we're going to end up having a heel versus heel feud. You know?
Well, before I don't know. Was it confirmed that she was injured or no? Do we know that?
I don't think there was
heard
any
that she
confirmation.
but I don't think there's any confirmation.
Okay,
though.
because for a while, I know, John, I know you've said, and I know, Dan, you guys don't watch all of Raw because you're probably really smart. But they did, for a good, 3 or 4 week span, they did. And me and Larson were kind of impressed with the fact that they had the main women's storyline going on.
Yeah.
You almost
and
did
then in the first hour, I almost did. For the first hour, they had, and every week, it was 3 or 4 weeks in a row, they had Sasha Banks going over somebody else. And so they had, and granted, it wasn't a storyline, but it looked like they were testing the waters. Okay, we know she's over, but is she really over? Let's see. And that led us to where we are now. And so when she came out, when her music, I love when they do that.
Oh, that was great.
I fucking love when the music hits. And I'm a big fan. Look, I love Sasha Banks. I know all you guys do too.
Yep.
But I love her music.
Yeah.
Her music is so fucking perfect for her. And I cannot wait to see what she rolls out to at WrestleMania when that music hits and she comes out at what was it, the NXT one, where the second one with her and Bayley. Didn't she come out like a fucking Hummer or something, and she had men carry her to the ring?
Yeah, so what happened was it was NXT Brooklyn. She came out in a Cadillac, and then she had escort of bodyguards who lifted her up onto the ring. It was just cool enough. It wasn't overdone, which it just makes me think at WrestleMania they maybe completely overdo it. But for that, it was completely appropriate to the character. Absolutely perfect.
I want to see. I don't care if it's overdone. I hope they go take it to 1,000. I want to see full on because I love her so freaking much.
She's gonna ride in on a tank, and then people will be like, "What?"
Rusev, what do you do? But yeah, and then her music hit, and they had the we can criticize, and I'll criticize all day long the TV. We talked about
the TV direction.
The TV direction where they do the crap with the zoom on action, which is really annoying. And that's one thing to say about the old school days when they couldn't do that and they just had a camera there and nobody would zoom into shit and you just see what was happening, which is great. It'd be great for today because the action, the wrestlers are so good. But you can say this, some of the direction last night was really good.
Yes.
They got the reactions for the most part that we wanted to see. And when that music hit and Charlotte had that look on her face and the crowd went huge and Sasha comes out with that look on her face, it was to perfection.
Yeah. Yep.
It was to perfection. And they let my only criticism thinking about the match now, the Charlotte Becky Lynch match, I wish we had just maybe 2 more, even 1 more false finish. Because when Charlotte got the pin, I was like, man, if Becky Lynch just kicks out 1 time, when you think, and everybody in the crowd knew everybody in the crowd knew the pin was going to happen. And it's always great when they defy that expectation. And so she had 1 false finish where then Charlotte gets the win. I think that could have made that match even better, but whatever. It was a good match. Sasha comes down, lays into, does the whole, hey, we're good. We're homies.
I know there was so much storytelling in just that 30-second 1-minute sequence where you're like, oh, she's coming out, she's going to challenge her. No, they're friends. No, Sasha, don't do it. And then she swerves her at the end. It was great.
Waits till the last second, picks her spot perfectly, and then gives her the bank statement, executes it perfectly, and locks that shit in deep. I mean, Charlotte bent over she bent backwards and then some.
Yep.
it was fantastic.
One thing I'll say about the women's division in particular is that submission moves that involve a lot of flexibility look way better than they do on men, because they can lock it in far, far deeper. If I had one criticism of it, is that Charlotte did not sell it all that well. Like that is supposed to be, at least in NXT anyway, that was the women's submission move. Like, it was the most brutal, most feared, most protected women's finisher. And Charlotte kind of no-sold it a bit, and I wasn't really okay with that.
Yeah, she kind of walked out of the ring kind of like it didn't really affect her at all.
Yeah, because that looks crippling. I mean, God's sake, a backstabber alone looks crippling, and into that should be like, I need surgery now, you know?
Yeah.
That was a great set. I can't wait. Mania is going to be. This is going to be one hell of a feud. And you know, I really hope they keep the. I mean, the team bad thing was fine. I think you're right. It was a waste of time to do all the factions, but I really just want to see this be Sasha and Charlotte.
Yes.
And of course, Rick.
Yeah. I think the fact that she came out on her own is indicative of that, and that's good. I think like Team Bad to me was always terrible, but the thing that made it even worse was that pre-show match where they decided to sing a Christmas carol. And it's like, hey, we're the New Day, but women.
Yeah.
Like, I want to die. Please go away. It was like, well, that's women's wrestling dead again on the main roster. Thanks, guys. But looks like they managed to, thankfully, make us forget about that.
Yeah, totally. All right, so that brings us to the Royal Rumble for the World Heavyweight Championship.
Oh, yeah.
One man defends it against 29 other guys. It's funny. Somebody tweeted at me. He was like, "I'm surprised they didn't do a 40-man this year." I'm like, no, because it makes total sense for Roman to beat 29 guys, but 39 would be a bit.
Yeah,
much.
that's far too much. You know, it's like the fact that he's regularly winning 4 versus 1 matches against the League of Nations and making them look like absolute chumps. Yeah, but 40? No. That's crazy.
That's going overboard. This is wrestling. Come on. What is it?
Indeed.
Some of my favorite spots, just off the top of my head, obviously we talked about Kevin Owens and the storytelling that he brought in. I mean, he came in with like 3 different stories going on, and it was all amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, you know, because him and AJ Styles, didn't they immediately start going at it? No, it was him and AJ Styles started going at it, right?
No. Wait. Yeah.
I thought it was.
Sami Zayn came out later. Yeah.
He came out later.
I think him and AJ went immediately at it, and I think that was great because it was an immediate nod to us, like, yeah, these guys have wrestled together under different names in different promotions, and they hate each other. Go!
Yes, exactly.
You know, such intensity to it.
And Owens was the perfect guy to eliminate him.
Oh, yeah.
It was the only acceptable guy to eliminate him.
Yeah.
They knew that. Anyone else would have got booed out of the building. Like, and not like heel heat, like X-Pac heat, get the hell out of here heat, you know?
Exactly. But the level, just the recognition, and of course, you know, for people who might not have known that AJ and Kevin, you know, have mixed it up before, it was obvious because of how they played it off.
Yes.
But everybody in that arena knows Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. They've talked, you know, we've seen it on the network endlessly on NXT. So when Sami Zayn's music hits, and they basically just take a little moment in time and suspend it, and you have Sami Zayn with this look of fucking murder on his face, and Kevin Owens with this look of even meaner, fatter murder on his face, and they just can't wait to dig into each other. Oh my God, it was just a fucking moment that was amazing.
Yeah. There were a few of those kind of face-offs, intense face-offs during that event that I really loved.
I was really hoping that we'd get a face-off like that if they brought Finn Balor in for the Rumble.
Yeah.
And him and AJ Styles, that would have made so many fucking smart mark heads explode. Oh my God, that'd have been fucking fantastic.
Yeah, I think the only reason maybe they didn't do that is because Finn is still playing face. I still think Finn's going heel at some point, and it might have something to do with those Bullet Club guys that are possibly coming up. And I think that's the only reason they didn't put him in, because I'm pretty sure they're going to do something with that instead.
Yeah. Or even if they did, like, and it's so inside and it's so nerdy, but, you know, the Bullet Club does the clicks little finger horn thing. If he had gone in there and they did that, the too sweet thing. If they had just done something like that, I mean, that's so nerdy and it's so like under, but I don't know. I would have fucking wet my pants. I really want to see Finn, and I really want to see Finn go heel, because I've always liked him because I've always felt, man, he's got a big history in Japan. He's older, which I like, so I know he's been around. And I think he's got a big upside. It's just ever since he's been in NXT, he's been doing sort of just besides the demon thing, he's been doing the straight babyface thing.
Yes.
And I've seen his Bullet Club work I've gone back and looked at some of his promos, and he's good. Like, he as a fucking heel, you have his personality comes out. And he doesn't have to be proper in talking about honor and valor and all this crap. And I'm like, man, I really want him to go heel. And I think you'll see a whole new side of Finn Balor, and I totally freaking love that.
Yeah.
But I think you're probably right, because right now he's not.
Yeah, they can do it really easily, too, because they can easily play into the whole, the demon is my dark passenger, and now I've given in to him in a real way. I use this too much. It's like Dark Side of the Force kind of nonsense, Real easy way to do it. We've, myself and my wife had this theory running for the past 6+ months that the person that put Hideo Itami out of action was actually his friend Finn Balor, letting the demon kind of get to him, because it was supposed to be a triple threat. So, as a result of Itami going out, you could argue that the reason why Finn is champion now is because Itami was out of the picture. And if that actually ends up being true, and they tie that into the Bullet Club and his return and a heel turn from Balor, that will be the best slow burn I've seen from them in a long time.
Yeah, that'd be really good.
Yeah. That'd be fantastic.
I hope so.
Another highlight for me, and this is totally nerdy, but I thought it totally worked, was the R-Truth moment.
Yes!
Oh, God, that's
Yeah.
hilarious.
I'm sorry, I really like the R-Truth stuff. I think it's fucking funny.
That will never not be funny. It's like, he has Alzheimer's. Yay.
That's actually his gimmick. I thought that was great. He brings out the ladder. He goes up to get the money, either the money in the bank or the title
belt.
Yeah.
or whatever it was. I loved it. Kane got annoyed. Kane, I love when we get a real world Kane reaction, because he so shouldn't acknowledge that stuff because he's like from hell or whatever he is. But whenever we get, and I know he's done the Daniel Bryan therapy stuff, but it always makes me laugh whenever Kane like has to deal with real stuff like that. I don't know. And so he throws the ladder out. I thought that was a great moment. R-Truth, I've always been an R-Truth fan, and I've always just understood he's never going to get pushed because he's the guy that doesn't need to get pushed. He's the utility player. He jobs out to the guys who need to get over.
Yep.
And he does his job perfectly.
The crowd likes him.
Does it
anywhere he goes.
Yeah,
the crowd
likes him. And he does it professionally, and losses don't matter to him because the crowd likes him. Who doesn't like R-Truth?
Yeah, and let's be honest, despite how he looks, he's actually quite old. Like, surprisingly old.
Yes. Yeah. He was one of the first TNA champions.
Yeah.
And that was like 10 years ago. And even then he was old. So yeah, I don't know. I thought that was fun. What other highlights did you guys have?
Rusev's reaction after he put Reigns through the table, where he's laying on the ground and puts his hands in the air in celebration.
That was perfect, Rusev. It also kind of makes up for how quickly he got eliminated.
Yeah.
I am very salty and continue to be very salty about WWE's treatment of Rusev post his Cena feud.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's getting punished because of those TMZ leaks and everything. I don't know what's going on with him, but he was booked as a monster in NXT. He was booked as a monster dealing with Cena, and he was great at it. And now he's being booked as a chump, just like everybody else in that stable. And it annoys the hell out of me.
Yeah, the thing that I like about Rusev, though, is that he has fun with it.
Yeah.
In his own Rusev way.
Like that tweet he put up last night.
He says, I forget what he said
exactly.
exactly.
To Lonnie, he says, I make history. I stole a TV monitor. Now I'm the TV champion.
I'll give him. He's got a good sense of humor on him. I'll give him that.
He does. And when he gets on the mic, you can always tell. Like, okay, Alberto Del Rio plays heel. Like, he doesn't do tongue-in-cheek at all. He doesn't do ironic. He doesn't slip in things. Rusev knows that he's supposed to be Drago from Rocky, but he slips in things that you can tell he knows are funny, and he kind of wants to laugh at them.
Yeah,
so
he always seems on the verge of laughing.
He kind of does. Go ahead.
Even when they had the League of Nations beat up Kalisto in the back, he was the only one to speak. And he said something like, hello, it is nice to meet you, and then beat the crap out of him.
Yes, that's right, he did.
It was perfect. It actually makes me think that maybe they should consider turning him face. Go with this Bulgarian playboy thing, If you're not going to make him be the monster heel, then right now he's just floating and looking like a chump. Make him a face then, because people do like him when he gets on the mic.
Yeah, it's funny because the entire awful Dolph Lana Summer Rae Rusev thing.
Oh God!
It was.
Jesus.
I'm sorry.
No,
I know.
Why do you have to bring that up?
But I'll tell you why. Because whenever Rusev was on the mic, he was fucking gold and he was fucking money.
Yeah, he was.
When he would talk about Summer Rae and how obedient she was, it was fucking hilarious.
Also, Dog Ziggler.
Dog Ziggler, yeah. And he busted out a fish.
Here's cold fish, Lana.
It's called Fish Lana.
He made the best of what was a terrible goddamn
exactly.
storyline.
Yeah,
I'll give him that. It sucks that he had to be put into it because his credibility as someone that murders people is now completely gone in my eyes.
Oh yeah,
which sucks.
Yeah. But I don't know. I like Rusev too. I think he's hilarious.
Yeah, he's great.
And I think he could be big again. They just all they need is put him on a win streak. We'll see how long the punishment. It seems like they're kind of because I was like, oh, look at that, it's Lana. What the hell's she doing out here? I thought she was being punished because you never see her anymore because he's with the League of Nations and evidently they want to punish her for the TMZ thing.
Yeah.
So she came out and that was kind of cool. But she more than anything, she's sort of the reminder of that awful angle to me. And that really, because I used to be, everybody loved Lana. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as that started happening, I was like, oh, come on.
When she was doing stupid dances, wiggling her ass around, instead it's like,
it was terrible.
No, she was a great manager because she was obviously the one in control.
Yes.
She was the elegant, the powerful character, and then they turned her into a joke, and I absolutely despised that. I really did.
Yeah. The whole Roman thing in the Rumble was
really poorly done. They made him look really weak.
Really poorly. The book of the match was going to be Rumble 92. But I know you guys were sort of short notice for you, John and Dan. You're sort of like, I didn't want to put you through watching that. I don't know, Dan, did you watch the Rumble 92?
I watched the Rumble itself from 92.
All you need to watch.
Okay. It was pretty decent. And Flair came in at number 3 and won.
Yeah.
And so why couldn't Roman come in at number 1 and lose at number,
28 or whatever it was.
28, whatever it was, like third to last. I just didn't get. I mean, I understand doing the Stone Cold thing. I get that, but it just made him look necessary.
Weak.
It made him look weak.
If he's gonna be beat down like that, then you have to put him on a stretcher. If he's in good enough shape to walk out of there, just get back in the ring.
Yeah,
he's coming right back in again. You know it.
Yeah.
And he gets all that time off, so it just makes him like, okay, well, he got a breather. Nobody else did.
Yeah,
he was in there for 59 minutes 50 seconds was his time in the Rumble, but for over 35 minutes he wasn't actually in the ring.
Did the commentary actually say he's in the Rumble for 59 minutes?
Near the end they were like, he's been in there for nearly an hour. I was like, no.
It's like, no, he hasn't. He's been napping in the back.
He hasn't.
It was another Roman sleeping thing again. In fact, I'm actually kind of surprised that crowd did not chant that again. Because they seem like the kind of crowd that would. And you're right. It was unnecessary protection of him as a character. The only reason I'm kind of okay with it is because it does to some degree dispel the Superman Roman Cena 3.0 nonsense that I've despised him for lately. Bear in mind, this is a guy that still, since the Shield, in fact, I think actually since coming up from FCW, has not been pinned clean.
Yeah.
Ever. Ever. It's insane. And he's beating up, on a regular basis, he's beating up 4 guys in the League of Nations, which is a stable full of previous champions, and making them look like chumps. He's you talk about Triple H burying people. Roman Reigns buries everyone he's in the goddamn ring with. It's insane. It's ridiculous. He deals with threats that are seemingly impossible, and it's not believable. We don't believe he can do that, because he's not Brock Lesnar. He's not The Undertaker. I don't believe you.
And I still hate to this day, I hate. Why does he get to wear a bulletproof vest and nobody else does? Why does he get the chest protector?
Yeah.
It's not. It's like, he's got the gloves, he's got the pants, he's got boots, he's got the chest protector. I'm like, he's already that's got to be. Dan, I know you're a stickler for the rules.
Well, remember when D'Lo Brown had the chest protector?
When they used it as he was a heel because he used it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's with it at some point as well.
Surprised he doesn't wear a helmet at this point.
Yeah. Okay, that'd get him over with me if he had a helmet.
Comes out with Michael Cole's like head protector at one point. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There you go.
On a bicycle with stabilizers. That's what he needs to come out. I'm just like,
I mean, considering how many injuries they've had lately, I'm kind of surprised they don't put him in a helmet. It's like, oh god, we can't lose another one.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah, it's not this guy. Yeah, and again, I was really happy with the finish of the match. Him being eliminated, and like Triple H. I mean, we all kind of knew Triple H was going to be number 30.
I didn't.
Again,
I had no Scooby. It was very exciting
Really?
for me. Well, because I've not paid attention very much over the last few months. So, I mean, there's two new. Like, I've never seen the League of Nations or what was it, the Social Outcasts or Misfits or something.
The Social Outcasts, yeah.
yeah.
Just turned
You're
up out of the
you're
blue.
not missing much with either of them. Like, if you like anybody in the League of Nations stable, don't watch the last month and a half because you will hate WWE's booking because they buried them all repeatedly just to get Roman over. It's awful.
And you know what's really terrifying is that had Kevin Owens not been sick, he'd probably be a part of that.
No, he was going to be.
He was going to be
God
in
he
the League
wasn't.
of Nations, and thank God for that. It makes me wonder if he would have stuck around though, because he seems to be following a path that they had let out for him, that they had set out for him. So it makes me wonder how long he would have stuck around. I mean, he might have. I have no idea. I don't know. I have a hard time believing they'd bury him. I mean, I know it's the WWE, they'll bury anybody, but he's been on such a rampage lately.
He
It would have
destroyed.
surprised
I
me
watched
if they would.
one episode of Raw, and he absolutely destroyed Roman. There was that all versus one battle, and it was basically just him.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah, yeah.
exactly. And I love that because usually they would do the kind of thing where the first guy in, Roman would just toss him out. Next guy, he'd just eat him up. But with him, they made it seem like an actual match.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
they
I thought
are
that was
protecting
really
him
good
to
booking.
some degree, I would say. The only problem I've got with him is that they did the whole Walk Owens walk thing a bit too much. Like, it's like, I never back down from a fight, except I back down from most fights, actually, as it turns out. You know, they needed to not do that quite as much, but I also realized the reason they did it is because he was way too over with the crowds, and he's a heel. And you can't have people consistently cheering the heels. You know, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
But I like I was saying, I love the finish. I thought it was great that it didn't come down to Triple H and Roman.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
that was the
loved-
right call.
Because there were a lot of possibilities with Triple H and Dean. I mean,
I
the obvious
almost
one played
believed.
out. Triple H won.
Yeah. I almost believed, and that was great. And I would have been okay with either result at that point. Like, I was like, I think Triple H is still going, but maybe they put the belt on Ambrose. You know?
And
Dean Reigns at WrestleMania would have been a good story too.
I still
even
think that should
could have
happen,
been. Even that could have been told a couple different ways. You could have had Triple H eliminating himself and Dean going heel.
Yep.
You could have had Dean just eliminating him straight up. I mean, there's two ways.
Could have had Roman jump in to try and help Ambrose. Like
Roman
the friend that he's
is
supposed
a
to be.
shitty friend. Can we point out,
He really
over the last
is,
6
yeah.
months, those two are shitty friends. Like, they have let each other down on multiple occasions when it comes to getting screwed over. Where was Ambrose to stop Sheamus's cash-in? You know, why did Reigns, bearing in mind we saw it multiple times during the Rumble, because there's no DQ, not get back in and help, you know?
You have the entire Wyatt family coming back in to get Lesnar out of there.
Yeah, you have the
And
League of
you don't
Nations
have-
doing it. And
exactly. League of Nations, yeah.
guess you can't do that because they're faces and they're honorable, except when they're not and spear the COO of the company through tables.
And,
But,
punch 70-year-old men in the face.
Yes, except that, you know. Otherwise, very honorable face. Yes, good guy.
guy.
Children like us. We will sell T-shirts.
I love that Triple H did the crotch chop when he eliminated.
Yeah.
It looks so good too.
good.
There's no one who does facial expressions and intensity quite like Triple H. You know,
I
he's
know,
never lost
I
that.
know. That's great. And the look, and honestly, Roman was acting pretty good last night. Like, his acting was decent. Like, when he got eliminated, he looked thoroughly
Because he didn't speak.
Yep, exactly.
Although there were 2 points when it annoyed me because they had before he came in, they had the camera on him for a bit too long before it, and so he just looked confused and scared.
Before AJ?
as he was waiting at the top of the stairs, and then before AJ, the whole AJ reveal was just Roman's face, like, who is this guy? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
you want to see the crowd explode. You want to see what the crowd
Yes.
saw on the Titantron, but instead we just saw Roman Reigns looking a bit confused.
Yeah.
which was-
Yeah, so apparently what they
that's
saw on the
TNA, I know
Titantron was it was a very slow burn up to the words I am and then phenomenal is when the pop happened, because that's when they realized. So I would have liked to see a bit of that. Roman's dumb face didn't really add too much to that experience for me. I'm hoping on Raw we get highlights from a different camera angle and they actually show that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see them do that. They'll probably put together a package for Styles.
Yeah.
That was good. I thought when Triple H came out and they sort of stopped time a little bit and you get some Triple H Roman. And I thought Roman did a pretty good job there.
Yeah.
With his reaction. Trying to think of other moments. What other moments am I missing out?
Braun Strowman was really played strong.
I know. He eliminated Kane immediately. He
and Big
fucking
Show.
choked out the Big
Big
Show.
Show and Kane are normally the ones who eliminate everyone. That's what was shitty about the Rumble last year, because it was just Big Show killing all your favourites off.
Yes, it was. It was awful. Big Show and Kane doing that. Yeah.
I was like the bit in the Matrix
Kane
where you
has
just start dying.
Yeah, and Kane has like the record or whatever for most eliminations, and he was the first one to get tossed out. And I was like, okay, let's see how they're going to book this guy. And whoo, they booked him strong.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that because they need that true monstrous stuff. And they're kind of doing that. I've noticed they've been booking Luke Harper a lot stronger too, because, I mean, he used to just job out on main event and superstars a lot before the proper reformation of the Wyatt family. And we thought maybe with the Reapers he was going to be a monster heel tag team, but then, of course, everything went wrong with what's-his-face, Eric Rowan getting injured.
Yeah.
And now he's looking a lot better. I've always liked Luke Harper in the ring. I think he's great.
Yes.
Like he's got
really
his
good.
super kick is fantastic.
Awesome. Yeah, he's
love his super
stupid
kick.
agile for his size.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's a big threat, and if he's booked properly, then I can see him with the proper build-up being put up against someone like Brock, and I'd be okay with that. I think that would be credible. So I think they did that really well with the Wyatts, and they've got to keep booking Braun Strowman because honestly, like, he can't wrestle. So
No.
yeah,
And all the rumors about him wrestling Lesnar at WrestleMania. Wow.
Are we okay? So what are we thinking for WrestleMania? Are we thinking Bray or Braun?
It has to be Bray.
It has to be Bray, right?
Bray's the only one with the talent. You can get past it by the fact that you say, look, he might not look like a monster like Brock does, but he's got that whole spooky aspect. Like, I have superpowers because I stole the Undertaker's soul. That's why I can fight Brock Lesnar. That kind of thing. It'll work.
Yeah. When also he has 3 gigantic guys having his back.
There is
if Brock
also
happens
that
to
factor.
lose,
Yeah.
he's losing essentially to 4 guys instead of 1. So
Yeah.
I would have actually really loved, and I know this was not going to happen, but I really would have kind of enjoyed a throwback to the Andre the Giant Ted DiBiase thing, where he has Strowman win the belt and just hand it on
that'd
over
have
to
been
him.
cool. Yeah.
Because, I don't know, that would have been really kind of cool to see some. Maybe we'll see it down the line. I don't know. But yeah, the Wyatts versus Lesnar, I like that. It's fresh. It's different. It's not just Lesnar milling about in the main event scene and then not doing anything.
Yeah, it also means we hopefully don't get Lesnar Reigns 2 anytime soon.
Right. Right.
Yes.
Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, Mania is shaping out to be good. Who do you guys want for Kevin Owens? Because I saw, like, Neville came out. I was like, man, Neville versus AJ Styles would be kind of cool. It seems obvious, though, right, that it's going to be Owens Zayn.
Owens Zayn, I can see Owens Styles. I don't think it's going to be Owens Zayn because right now in NXT they've got a sort of 3-way number 1 contendership thing going on, and they're rebuilding Zayn as the ultimate underdog against people who are monsters. I mean, Corbin and Samoa Joe. I actually expect maybe eventually that Samoa Joe takes a clean loss to Zayn in a really good fight. And I think the time it's going to take for them to build that properly, I really think that I don't think Zayn is going to Mania this year. I think it's going to end up being Styles Owens. That makes the most sense right now. And Zayn will end up in Mania next year, and then we see the proper feud between Zayn and Owens on the main roster, which will hopefully be just as good, if not better. We'll build after that.
Yeah, it seems like
Go ahead, Larson.
No, I say I agree with John. It seems like it's going to be AJ and Owens, and then we're going to get Ambrose and Jericho.
I'm okay with both of those.
Could you imagine if the Raw, if they do the Sami Zayn, Samoa Joe, Baron Corbin thing leading up to Mania and whenever the NXT takeover is going to be then, and then the Raw following Sami Zayn comes out and they do a fucking year-long. They're not going to do this. Could you imagine if they did a year-long feud between him and Owens?
I'd love it.
Great.
That'd be fantastic.
Down with it.
The story's already built. That's the best thing about it. We saw it on NXT. It's great for me because that's when I relapsed into wrestling, was when that feud was happening. And it was the first thing I really saw in NXT, and it sold me immediately on NXT. Because
when Owens came out and powerbombed Sami Zayn against the corner of the apron.
Oh God!
Man.
Oh my God! That was fucking brutal. And then they just let him steamroll him.
Yeah,
at the match.
They let him murder him completely.
Yeah.
It's like I was genuinely afraid for the guy at that point.
Yeah. God, what a great debut. God, any last thoughts about the Rumble?
Chris Jericho was in it forever.
Yeah,
He was in there for over 50 minutes.
Yeah, he was in it for a while.
Yeah, it didn't serve a lot of purpose either.
You know, Jericho can take. I mean, Jericho's been around for so long that they just know. You know what? This is a cog we can put in there, and he will do everything that he needs to do to get this match. Like, he's going to be a great working piece for this match.
Yeah.
Even if he does have kind of a weird looking body these days.
Yeah, his torso seems really wide.
Bit of dad bod, cool dad bod.
Yeah, it totally is dad bod.
Yeah.
One of that's gonna get me in trouble one of these days, man. I keep on telling Larson, like, if we go back to like the WWE 2K 17, I guess next year, like the little early access thing, and they bring out another series, it's probably gonna be Tyler Breeze, who I've talked so much shit about. But it's like, I appreciate all these guys are performers, they're humans, and I love them, and I think they're great for what they do. I try to stress, I comment on
you criticize Tyler Breeze, not.
You're criticizing the character.
Not whatever his real name is, you know?
You're criticizing the character, not the man.
Which is fair.
I'm like, if we ever end up meeting and being face-to-face, and I'm like, hey, don't watch any of my stuff because I bury you quite a bit. I'm sorry. I love you, and I think you're great. But, anyways. Yeah, Tyler Breeze was in the Rumble. He showed up at number 4. Nobody thought he was going to win anything.
Nope.
No, which is fair. But he did get in some great moves. He just went right off the bat. It's like, hey, I got a finisher. Let's just use that right now. I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah,
sure. It's like he knew it was going to be there for about 35 seconds, so he just did every great move he knew, just right immediately. It's like, yeah, okay. It was just really well paced in general. I like that they gave Styles a good platform to show some stuff off, and they teased his finisher, but didn't do it.
Yes, that's right. I was nervous the entire. That finisher makes me so fucking nervous.
Yeah. I'm just hoping. I'm hoping they haven't banned it. I'm assuming they have not. I think that would be dumb if they have, but they definitely teased it.
It's not the kind of. I mean, it's not something that looks dangerous. It's just if the guy tucks his head in, you're fucking broken.
Yeah.
So they just have to make sure, if it was me, I'm like, okay, if I'm fighting AJ Styles, I'm like, okay, just head up.
I know the whole match, head up.
Head up.
Yeah. There was that, and I was always nervous that Triple H was going to hurt himself when he came in. It's like,
really?
don't tear your quad. Don't tear your
looked,
quad. Please don't tear your quad.
He looked good, though. He's not as massively cartoonishly bulky as he was back then, though.
Yeah.
Oh,
These
God.
days he just does.
You remember when he came back in the leather jacket after the injury, where it's like,
God.
Is there 2 men inside this jacket? Like, you are wide. Good God.
What are the things called that attach your neck to your shoulder? Is it the lats?
No, the traps.
The traps. The traps were giant. They were huge. They were like the size of my bicep. Bigger than that, really, because I don't really have biceps. But anyways.
He looked fine. He didn't do that much. He did just enough, a pedigree, a couple of failed pedigrees. He did botch a facebuster, which I've never seen him do before. I don't know if it was the other guy's fault, but there was an obvious miss on one of the facebusters. And I was like, wow, you've been doing this for a long time. Like, that's a signature of yours. I expect that out of you every time, and it usually looks awesome. So, but otherwise, he looked pretty good.
Yeah, he did. All those midnight. It's always on Instagram. I'll see, like, because I follow him and Stephanie on Instagram, and they're always doing their midnight workouts. I'm like, they still look pretty good, and I'm still here sitting at my computer not doing a midnight workout.
If you haven't seen it, there's a little backstage video they did of him before he went in, where he's doing push-ups and things like that, and he's just very silent, and his music hits and he's in the back and you hear the pop and then he walks out. It's just like, it was just a really cool little vignette.
I gotta check that out.
Yeah, it's on the YouTube channel. There's actually several nice little bits on there with AJ Styles, with Zayn, with Roman not saying anything. There was 26 seconds of Roman looking sad. It's awesome.
That's how we like our Romans. Sulking and silent.
Yeah, I don't like your smile. You look stupid. Please turn heel. Thank you.
All right, let's do this real quick. Before we sign off, let's do an impromptu, oh, geez, it's Tyler Breeze.
Oh, God.
We want to get Tyler Breeze over, And Breeze is a really easy name to rhyme with something. So we'll go around. I'll start. Larson, you go next and give the tourists here some time to book their own Tyler Breeze. Does that sound good?
Okay, take your time because I need to think of one.
Okay.
Because when we did it, last time we did it.
Top of my head. This is top of my head. This is
no,
totally
I know.
top of my
Last
head.
time we did impromptu when we did like 6. Those are the first 6 that came to my head. So now I
We
got
did a lot.
There's a lot.
Hold on a second. Let me think. All right. Tyler Breeze gets booked into a Broadway musical about a bunch of teenagers in high school. Oh, geez, it's Tyler Grease. So bad.
That's
so
terrible.
bad.
All right, I've got
That's
one.
horrible.
I've got
Okay.
one.
John, you're up.
Yeah. Influenced by his long-lost rival C.J. Parker, who has sadly passed into other promotions, Tyler gains a sudden interest in wildlife conservation and opens up his very own honeybee farm by the name of Tyler's Bees.
There you go. Who's next?
I'll go. All right, I got one. This is stupid.
Yeah, because ours wasn't.
Yeah, ours were great.
Ours was really sensible.
This is double stupid.
Okay.
So after this latest incident where Tyler Breeze leaves early and gets into hot water with his bosses WWE, he just says to himself, "Okay, I gotta be a better employee. Whatever they say, I'm just gonna do."
Yeah.
So he bends over backwards for his bosses and does whatever they ask. He's now Tyler Appease.
Oh, for God's sake!
I told you it was stupid.
That's great.
Oh,
Dan, you're up. Finish this off.
Tyler Breeze realizes that his kicks are stronger than his punches, so he decides he wants more things that he can kick with, so he swaps his elbows out for knees and becomes Tyler Knees.
Tyler Knees. That's perfect. Well, listen, I want to thank both of you guys for
Yes,
showing
thank you
up to
very
the
much.
show.
that was a pleasure.
Cool.
This was a lot of fun. Maybe we can make this like a Big Four thing. Dan, both of you guys are both welcome anytime at all. We do this weekly.
I'll be back.
So whenever you guys want to do it, let us know. If we can make it like a regular Big Four thing, that'd be beautiful.
Yep.
I'll see what I
Sounds
can
good to
do.
me.
All right,
a lot of fun.
perfect.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for everybody for tuning in. This is Going In Raw. We'll do our regular show to recap Raw tomorrow night. You can check us out there at Stephen Larson.
Yep.
And we'll talk to you guys later.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.